Students, let's do Brahmanath. Om. Om. Santi, Santi, Santi. Swasth.
Good morning, students. Welcome back to another video lecture from your chapter, that is your reproduction in organisms. Already we have discussed what is the basic difference between sexual and asexual reproduction. And recently we are discussing about the asexual reproduction and their various processes or types of asexual reproduction. We have discussed about the fission process, and recently we have completed the process of sporulation process. And today we are going to discuss another important process of asexual reproduction, that is budding process, and how this process will occur we will know in this lecture today. Before going to today's class, let us know what we have studied in the previous class. Let us recall what is sporulation process. In the sporulation process, we have studied that it is a process that is involved in the formation of a spore, and that spore will give rise to a new complete parent cell, and that is produced from your previous parent cell. And basically, the daughter cell which is produced, it is similar to that of your parent cell. And basically, these spores are haploid in structure, microscopic in structure, and these spores are produced from a single parent. As we know that in the asexual reproduction process, only a single parent is involved. And based on their different conditions of development, spores can be of different types. One is your zoospore, next one is your aplanospore, next hypnospore. Then we have discussed about the conidia, next that is your sporangiospores and chlamydospore. And zoospore, these are the these spores contain the flagella, and they are having the movement type, and they are producing the sporangium, and the nuclei divides to give rise a large number of nuclear cells, and that will give rise to your zoospore, which commonly seen in case of your algae like Chlamydomonas and some of the fungi. Then next lower fungi, next that is your aplanospore. Aplanospore are modified structure of your zoospore where you will do not find any flagella structure. Okay, and these are produced during your unfavorable condition period. And hypnospore, what is hypnospore? Hypnospores are modified aplanospores. When that the environmental condition is very distressed, or it is not suitable for the organism to grow in that place, then this hypnospore is produced. And these three, that is your sporangiospores, then your conidia and chlamydospores, these are commonly produced during the favorable condition in the most of the fungus, that is in the mycelium structure of your fungus. Okay, this structure we have discussed in the previous class. Today we are going to start another important process, that is your budding process. Okay, we will discuss today about budding. We know what is this process is and where it will occur and how the process will occur. Budding, it is usually budding. In budding process, a new individual is produced. From the outgrowth of the parent cell. Okay, so new individual which is produced from the parent cell, that is in the form of a outgrowth, and that outgrowth, it is known as your bud. We can call it the outgrowth as the outgrowth formed from parent is called as a bud. Okay, and that bud will grow and develop into a complete plant structure. Okay, and this bud will mature and give rise to a new self-dependent individual. Okay. In the process of budding, what I said that a new individual is formed by the outgrowth of that parent. Okay. A outgrowth is formed from the parent cell, and that the outgrowth which is formed from the parent cell, it will grow, and when it will completely develops, and that bud it will give rise to a new self-dependent individual, and which is similar to parent cell. If you say some of the example in which the budding process occurs, you can write some examples. Some of the animals like Hydra, next Ophelia. These are some examples where we find the type of budding is here, and near the Hydra type, this Hydra and Ophelia, these two belongs to the phylum Cnidaria. Okay, and these are usually marine habitat. Most of the Hydra and Ophelia you will find most of the marine habitat they will present. And in the Hydra, they are usually central in position. Okay, bud is formed near the central region of parental column. Okay, suppose this is the diagram of your Hydra. Okay, this is the diagram of Hydra, and this is the column of your Hydra structure of Hydra. Okay, and the bud will arise near the central position. Okay, this is the central position. This is the structure of bud, and here you can see this is the column of your Hydra structure, and the bud arises in the central position, and that bud which develops from the Hydra structure, that will grow simultaneously along with the development of your parental structure. Okay, you can write that point. The bud grows simultaneously along with the growth of parental body, and bud becomes multicellular and highly differentiated structure. Okay, you can here see this is a multicellular structure and become highly differentiated structure. The bud which arises from the structure of Hydra, they becomes multicellular in structure and they are highly differentiated. We can differentiate the bud from the parental column cell. That's why it is known as highly differentiated. Because we can easily say that bud is different from your parental cell. Bud is slightly smaller than that of your parent cell. And the bud which is growing from the parent cell, it can again form it can again form its own bud along with which is present on the hydra structure. Okay, before detaching from the parental body. Next point is that another important point is that budding is different from here. Budding is different from fission process. How can you say that budding is different from fission process? Okay, already we have discussed the fission process. Okay, Fi, SSION, ION, fission process. What is that process? In the fission process, we have seen that the parental structure, it will divide into two or more equal halves and that will form a D individual. But here you will see the parental body is larger in structure, but the bud which is formed, it is smaller in structure. Okay, that's why the daughter cell which is produced from the bud, it is dissimilar in structure. Okay, you can say bud is always smaller than parental cell. Okay, that's why you can say it is different from the fission process, where in the fission process we have seen that the two parts which are formed in the parent cell that are equal in size, but here it is dissimilar in size. Okay, that's why we call it as the fission process. It is different from the budding. And another important point is that budding is frequently seen in case of fungi, that is your Saccharomyces. Okay, Saccharomyces. Okay, Saccharomyces, we all know that it is a unicellular fungus. It is a unicellular fungus. Okay, that is your yeast. It is called as your yeast. Okay, note down all these points, then we will discuss in details about the budding process in yeast, how it is occurring in the yeast process. Okay, note down these points. Okay, let us discuss about budding process in yeast, how budding occurring in the yeast, which is we have already discussed that it is a unicellular smallest fungus. As we all know that fungus, it is usually multicellular in structure, but some unicellular structures are also present, and that unicellular structure is your yeast. And here in the yeast cell you will find the budding process occurring, and we will see how the budding process will occur. Usually the parent cell of yeast forms a protuberance. Okay, protuberance by bulging and stretching of parent cell. Okay, usually the parent cell which is usually present before, that will form a protuberance. What is a protuberance? Protuberance, it is a outgrowth. Okay, already we know that the budding process that will occur, a formation of a outgrowth from the parental cell, and protuberance formed from the parent cell, that is your yeast, by bulging and stretching of your parent cell. What is the bulging process? Usually bulging is a swelling. Okay, swelling, or we call it as outgrowth. When the parent cell swells, it will develop a bud structure. And next, the nucleus of the parent cell divides. The nucleus of the parent cell divides into two and one of the nucleus enter into the newly formed bond structure along with some part of cytoplasm. Okay. Let us draw the structure of yeast, then we will know how the structure of yeast looks. This is the structure of yeast, and this is known as your cell wall. Okay, this is your cell membrane. As we know that cell wall being fungus, it is made up of chitin. Okay, and this is the nucleus of the yeast cell, and this is the structure of vacuole. And this is the structure of mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria, and all other cell organelles are also present here. Okay, and this is the structure of yeast. Okay, then this structure will develop or bulges or produces an outgrowth from the cell wall. Okay, this cell wall, it will produces an outgrowth, and from which the nuclei is divided. First the nuclei will divide. Okay, and that nuclei will divide, and that will transfer to the bond structure. Okay, and along with that some cytoplasmic content will also transfer here. Okay, this is the structure of a bud, and this is your parent cell. Okay, then next, the bud which is formed by the bulging of your parent cell, that will grow gradually, and the nuclear content along with other structure like mitochondria, ribosome, all other structures are transferred to the bud structure. And okay, and it will, when it will fully mature, okay, it will form a septum. Okay, there is development of a septum. This is a septum-like structure, and this is your nucleus, and this is your nucleus. This is its vacuole structure. Okay, and here you can see the bud which is formed. A septum is formed inward. Okay, that is, a septum is formed. A septum is formed centripetally. Okay, centripetal means what do you mean by centripetal force? Okay, centripetal force is that the growth or inward growth of your the growth of the septum towards your axis. Okay, the growth is towards your axis. Inward growth towards axis. This is known as your centripetal force. Okay, usually suppose this is your bud, and they will form a septum structure. Okay, inward, not outward, inward. And as the growth or septum formation is inward, that is known as your centripetal force. Okay, suppose this is your axis, and the centripetal force is from here, and there is formation of a septum. And gradually, when there is formation of a septum, the bud will separate from the parental cell of yeast. Okay, next we will draw the diagram. Then there is formation of two daughter cells of your yeast. Okay, this is the vacuole. These are known as your two daughter cells. Okay, here you can see these two daughter cells are formed. Okay, it's not visible. We'll draw the diagram here. There is formation of two daughter cells. Okay. Here you can see two daughter cells are formed from the parent cell. Okay, the bud usually grows and that bud when separates by the formation of a septum structure. This is your septum structure. This is your septum, or near the point of septum, the body will separate from the parent cell, and when the bud separate from the parent cell, that will produce a new individual, and the new individual which is produced, it is equal to that of your parent cell. Okay, and another important point is that here you can write that point. Okay, a cell wall of daughter cell is newly formed. Okay, it is not the extension of the. Okay, here you can see this is the cell wall of the new daughter cell, and this is also cell wall of the new daughter cell. The new cell wall is formed, and it is not the extension of the. It is not extension of the parent cell wall. Okay, you can easily see here. Initially, the parent cell wall protrudes or produces an outgrowth, but the parent cell wall detaches. Here it detaches here, and the cell wall of daughter cell is newly formed. Okay, it is not the extension of the parental cell wall. Okay, and another important point is that here you can write that point. That is, here two daughter cells are formed, and the bud, it is a outgrowth of the parent cell, and you sometimes a chain of bud is formed which produces more than one bud, and it is called as pseudomycelium. Okay, if you draw the diagram of pseudomycelium, I am just removing this part to draw the structure. Suppose this is the structure of yeast. Okay, this is the structure, this is the nucleus. Then there is formation of a chain of bud. This is a chain of bud. And this is the microstructure. Here you can see a single bud is not formed. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe it may 7, it may 8. Okay, and the older buds that are present towards the near to the cell of your bud is cell, and the younger one that is present towards the apex. And this chain of bud is known as your pseudomycelium. Pseudo, what is pseudo means? Pseudo means false. Okay, pseudo means false. As you know that the fungus vegetative part body, it is made up of, suppose this structure is belongs to the fungus cell. This is known as your hyphae. This is known as your hyphae, and the fungus vegetative part, that is known as your hyphae, contains mycelium structure. Okay, we already studied in fungi that the fungi vegetative part body, it is made up of hyphae, and hyphae made up of a mycelium structure. And as this chain of bud, it is forming a false mycelium structure, that's why it is also known as a pseudomycelium or false mycelium. Okay, these completed the body in yeast. Okay, note down these points. Then we will discuss in different types of budding process in the organisms. Note down these points. Let us discuss types of budding. Already we have discussed the budding process in the yeast. Okay. Generally, budding is of two types basing on their origin. Okay, that is your exogenous budding and endogenous budding. Exogenous budding, that is mostly occur. Exogenous budding, buds occur on the external surface. external surface of the parent cell. Okay, here you can see this is the structure of ball, and this is your hydra. Okay, this is the structure of hydra. Here you can see this is the structure of external bud, which usually grows along with the growth of your parental body. This is your parental body, and the growth usually occurs, and this is your bud. Okay, this is a mature bud, and here you can see the bud is formed on the central outer surface of the hydra. Okay, and gradually when the bud matures, it separates from the, this is known as your daughter cell, and this is your parent cell. Okay, as the bud getting nutrient from the parent cell, they matures and they form a complete structure which is similar to that of the parent cell, and bud occur on the external surface of the parental cell. And usually you will find in the hydra and in the cyclone two types. In the hydra, the buds are attached to the parent cell. Buds are initially attached, but when it matures, it becomes separate from the parent cell. Okay, buds become separate. After maturity. But in the cyclone, buds remain attached to this parental cell. Buds remain attached to parental cell. Okay. Usually, cyclone it is mostly it is a phylum of Porifera. It is included in the phylum Porifera, and mostly you will find in the marine habitat. And the bud which is formed from the parental body, after the maturity, they will remain attached to the parental body. Suppose I will draw the diagram. Suppose this is the diagram of your cyclone. Okay. This is the cyclone, and here it is its osculum. Okay, these are ostia. Some pores are present on the cyclone body, and this is its bud. You can see the bud is matured, but still remains attached to the parental body. That's why here two types are present. In the hydra, you will see the buds after maturity they will separate from the parent cell, but in the cyclone, the bud after maturity they will remain attached to the parental cell. Okay, then come to your endogenous body. Here in the exogenous, the buds are formed on the surface of the parental cell, but in the endogenous type, the buds are formed internally. Buds are formed internally, and most of the example you can see. Okay, spongilla. Here that is example is your gimule formation. Okay, gimule formation. Okay, look at this diagram. This is the structure of your diagram where gimule formation is here. This is your gimule formation in spongilla. Okay. The gimule usually form in the inside of the parental body of your spongilla. Here, this is the structure of your parental body of spongilla, and this is the structure of your outer membrane, and this is your inner membrane, and this is your micropyle. Okay, and this structure it is your gimule. And this structure which is present in the center, these are known as your arcuocytes. These are called as your archaeocytes. These strands are called as your spicules. Spicules. Okay. These are the structural features. Here you can see in the inner side there is formation of a gimbal structure, and this gimbal structure it is known as your bud of your spongilla, and most of the spongilla they are having gimbal form, gimbal which is formed inside the body, and that gimbal contains a mass of cells in the center, and that mass of cells is known as your archaeocytes. Okay, gimbal having mass of cells at the center, and that are called as which structure? That is your archaeocytes. Archaeocytes. And usually these archaeocytes which is present at the center, these are the food reserve material of the body. Okay, food reserve material. Why these structures are formed? Okay, because during the unfavourable condition of the spongilla, they usually stores the food, and when the favorable condition appears, these archaeocytes, okay, here you can see these archaeocytes, they will release to the outer environment through the micropyle, okay, through this pore region, through the micropyle region, and each archaeocytes will produce a new spongilla body, okay, or new spongilla cell. Okay, these archaeocytes produces new daughter spongilla. Okay, these are the basic differences in between your exogenous body, where we have seen that the bud is formed externally, and in the endogenous body, but we have seen that the archaeocytes which are formed inside the gimbal, they are usually formed inside the body, and when favorable condition appears, they matures and they release to the outer environment, and they produce a new individual. Okay, note on these points. Then we will discuss about the fragmentation process. Let us discuss about another important process of asexual reproduction, that is fragmentation. Already we have discussed about the budding process, which is one process of asexual reproduction. Then in the fragmentation process, the body of the organism divides into two or many parts. Okay, body of the organism divides into two or more parts. And each part give rise to new individual. Okay, and usually the body of the organism separates automatically or by due to some injury. Okay, and basically we will see due to the fragmentation process, the cells which are formed, that are the cells are undifferentiated. That is, undifferentiated means they will not differentiate, or they will not having a basically function. Only the older parts it is removed by new parts, or the injury is recovered. Okay, that is no specific function of that tissue. Okay, only to regenerate that part or to form a new part from the separated part. Okay, that's why it is undifferentiated. And mostly examples you will see most of the filamentous algae you will see, that is your Spirogyra. Here you can see the fragmentation of process occurs, Spirogyra. And next, that is your Coelenterata, that is Hydra. And next, that is your Fonges and flatworm that is planaria. Okay, these are some examples where we find the fragmentation process will occur. And in the Spirogyra, you will see this structure is like that. Suppose this is the structure of Spirogyra. It is a filamentous structure, and these are some structure which is present. Okay, and it is having a chloroplast, and these are nucleus. Okay, and here near the point of septum where the two cells are present, here they suppose a fragment is formed here and here a fragment is formed, and that fragment having capability of producing a new fragment of Spirogyra. That's why it is known as your fragmentation process. Okay, fragmentation in Spirogyra. Because if any part of the parental body, suppose this is your parental body and this is your daughter cell, and this is your fragment. Okay, a single fragment having capability of producing a new individual, and this is known as a fragmentation process. Similarly, in case of suppose Hydra, if you draw the structure of Hydra, okay, then here suppose a fragmentation process occurs, or a part is removed from the Hydra. Okay, then two parts are formed. Here is one part, here another part, and these two parts. Okay, here this is one part, this is second part. This part can produce a complete Hydra structure. Two Hydra can produce from the one single parent. Okay, this is your single parent cell, and from this two daughter cells are produced. Here you can see if any injury occurs. Okay, any injury occurs and there is formation of two parts, then that process is known as your regeneration process. Okay, what is the regeneration? Fragmentation is different from your regeneration. Why? Because in the fragmentation process, when this Spirogyra grows and gradually after the maturity, then it will separate. Okay, naturally it will separate, but in regeneration process it will occur by the injury process. Okay, regeneration it usually occurs by an injury, and that injury produces two part or many part, and each part develops into complete organism. Okay, this is the basic difference in between the fragmentation process and the regeneration process. Okay, well, what is the difference? In the regeneration process, the parental body it is separated by an injury, but in the fragmentation process it is occurring naturally. That is when the parental body matures, and after the maturity they will form a part, and that part having the capable of producing a new individual. Here you can see this is the fragment, which is example of your that is your which type fragmentation, and here if any injury occurs in the structure, this is the structure of your Hydra, and if any injury occurs, then it is known as a regeneration process. Okay, note on these points, then we will discuss about the importance of your asexual reproduction. Okay, already we have discussed the different processes of asexual reproduction. Okay, we have discussed the fission, we have discussed the sporulation process, we have discussed the budding process. Okay, then let us discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of your asexual reproduction. Okay, first advantages is that it is uniparental. Okay, only single parent is involved here, and it is a rapid mode of reproduction. Okay, as we compare with your sexual reproduction, Here in the sexual reproduction, two parent is involved, but here only single parent is needed, and it is a rapid mode of reproduction. Okay, within small period of time, more individuals are formed. Basically, in case of a bacteria, that is asexual mode of reproduction, where within a small period of time, more number of cells are produced, and quick establishment of young ones. So young ones are produced rapidly and very fast, and young ones are replica, okay, or they are the clone of your parent cell. Okay, they are similar to that of your parent cell. Then this is very simpler than sexual reproduction, because as we know that in the sexual reproduction process different gametes are needed, male gamete and female gamete are both are needed, but here no gametes are needed. That side is very simpler, and consumption of resources is also very less. Okay, as in the sexual reproduction, the boards are formed, the spores are formed, very low consumption is required of nutrients. And what are the different disadvantages? As we know that different gametes are produced, or different individuals are produced rapid mode. That's why there is overcrowding. Okay, due to rapid multiplication. Okay, in the small period of time, if that organism is not needed, they will multiply in the rapid time, and they will fill up the habitat, and they will consume all of the resources in that habitat. Okay, then no mixing of genetic material. As we know that in the asexual reproduction only mitosis process is occurring, and no meiosis occurs, and we know that in the meiosis process that is crossing over occurs, and due to crossing over there is variation occurs, and there is evolution occurs, but here only mitotic process occurs. That's why there is no new combination of genes, and genes will be produced. That's why no role in evolution and no crossing over is here present, because in the asexual reproduction only mitosis process is involved. That's why no crossing over, and due to this condition, or there is no production of new combination of genes, they will not adapt to the new situation. Okay, if we say that the hybrids or the variation occur in the gene, they will adapt to the new situation. But the asexual spores which are produced by without crossing over, they will not adapt to the new situation. Okay, that's why the adaptability to the new situation is also very low. These are the basic topics of the asexual reproduction, and what are the process already we have discussed, and what are the advantages and disadvantages we have discussed today. Okay, go through all these points, and next class we will discuss in details about another topic from your reproduction chapter. Thank you.